This film captures what two Carson-Newman College students experienced in the Philippines. A church asked Jared Belcher and Adam Collins to go on a mission trip to make a short fundraising video.
I really felt like I was called to go on a mission trip, and so I prayed about it.
Last July, they lived in a dump with street children, shooting video and interviews, learning about their lives. They returned to Tennessee with 50 hours of footage and 20 interviews, and the realization that the short video should become a film.
We realized this is actually a lot bigger than one particular ministry. We were actually telling a story of poverty, and then we realized we're also telling a story of violence and of hope.
They set up a studio near campus, then 5 students started working on what would become Children of the Trash.
Really wasn't anything for a documentary or a video even. It was just to kind of document what we did over there so that we wouldn't forget it.
You know, we threw around the idea of, well, what if we did an hour-long documentary?
Jared, how are we going to make a film? Right now we've got 2 business majors, a linguistics major, a social entrepreneurship major, and a communications major.
We were way in over our heads.
And that's really how the project began.
Explain the flight so far.
Well, I think we've been flying for something like 8 hours. The food here is actually not as bad as it could be. I've had worse at the cafeteria, except for these things. I'm pretty sure these are like baby fish. I don't know.
So Jared, what are we about to do today?
Well, it's 5:30 in the evening here, and today we've got to film the garbage dump. This is our lovely home. It's like 5:30 in the morning.
The sun's out.
This is what it looks like at 5:30 in the morning. Hey, so we're just here kind of chilling on our way back from filming the opening scenes.
And it's been kind of cool to kind of see what's actually really beautiful, like in nature, about Cebu. These are our bros.
Yeah, they're our bros. Our Filipino bros. Filibros.
My brother, my mother.
One of the greatest challenges in making this movie was that none of us spoke Cebuano. So we would film someone speaking, say the parents of Melo Jean, and they would of course be speaking in Cebuano. I would ask a question in English, and then the social worker to my left would translate that question into Cebuano.
How will the Wesley home help your child?
Giunsa man sa Wesley kung pagtabang sa imong bata. Gipakaon, gipa-eskwela.
So we have this notebook filled with these translations, and then later each day we would go over these English translations with the social worker and we would refine them. The trick with that though is timing, because the languages use completely different rules of grammar. So you have, in English it might take me 30 seconds to say something that in Cebuano it might take me 60 seconds to say.
I never really felt uncomfortable while I was there. There were some times where I was a little nervous or a little scared. You're definitely eating different foods.
We also this morning learned how to fish like Filipinos.
I caught 2 fish.
Adam caught 2 fish. I ate lots of raw fish today. It was delicious.
Jared and I made some really, what we hope to be, some pretty lifelong friends. We met some college students over there that we met at a church. They are part of the youth group and the music team at the church that the kids go to.
Okay, so here we are in the Philippines, and we just wanted to give you a little bit of taste of our amazing band. So we're going to sing a song that's going to be led by Jay, our singer Jay. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Oh yeah.
The next biggest thing that we had to do was to try to get some help, because I had never really been in post-production of any kind of film.
We actually were donated an office space, and it's this incredible space right next to our college.
Okay, so show us what you're doing right now.
I'm working on violence with one of the kids we're looking at, Mary Grace.
When we first got in there, it was just me and Jared, and we worked for what felt like about a month, and then Jameson jumped on, and then right after that, Lakin jumped on.
I had no idea where in the world Jared and Jameson and these guys got this office from. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions.
We have mac and cheese, that's SpongeBob, can't go wrong there. We also have hot cider, which Jared's mother so kindly brought to us, and Andrew, you're the man. And we have our Filipino flag for inspiration. These are past Arrowhead sermon signs.
I kind of actually equated to the actual show, The Office.
So why are you writing an email from the top of the queue?
Well, I just feel more creative on top of things.
What does it take to do a Refuge Film?
A level head.
You gotta have a level head, man.
All right, Jared, I'm gonna go downstairs.
What Jared had done and what Adam had done, they had shot it and they brought it back to the States, and hours of footage.
And we have to sort it, put it into places that we're going to be able to access later, because otherwise it's going to take an eternity to make this movie.
They wanted me to edit a little piece, and so I did.
He made this incredible 30-second teaser. That's when it got very real for me.
And eventually I was on the team and I was editing a section of the film.
So after we sorted the film, the next step was to come up with a script. And I tried multiple times. I hated every script that I ever wrote.
A buddy of mine that I just met walked in, and he was helping out with the film some at the time. Basically wanted me to come with him and just come check it out. Walked into the office and met some of the guys.
And I had no idea who Michael is. He's a freshman at the school. And it turns out he's a great writer.
They said that, well, hey, we need somebody to help us out with finalizing the script. And so I was like, well, all right, I can do that.
He was able to take the words that I wanted to say and make them so musical, make them so artistic and beautiful.
And once we got all 5 of us together, there was really kind of a flow going by that point.
It was really PC on like when things actually got completed. I think the first complete section of the film that I saw was like maybe 15 seconds long.
With low education rate, no birth control, and parents who are either unwilling or unable to provide support for their children has led to widespread poverty.
Who did that? That's awesome. Like I was blown away.
We still hadn't found a narrator. We found a service that you post your script and then you can have people audition for it and you can pay vocal actors to read it. Jameson and I go off to Walmart to buy some supplies, and we come back and we have 53 auditions in our inbox.
The narrator we chose was James Hayward Brinkley. Perhaps not a household name, but his work has been featured in some of Hollywood's biggest productions.
When Jared and the guys were telling me about the narrator, James Brinkley, yeah, I found out that he was British. And so they would come by the cubicle that I was working at 3 o'clock in the morning this night, and they would just hear me babbling on in this, terrible British accent, trying my best to get in Mr. Brinkley's mind.
More than half the country, of 50 million people, live on $2 a day.
The film has one scene that's completely animated. The animation actually took days to make, and it only lasts a few seconds. The process began by sketching out on paper some ideas, and then putting those ideas into the computer into Adobe Photoshop. We then take the elements from Photoshop and move them into our animation software. In this particular scene, $117 fall from the sky. Each of these dollars must be put into the computer and has to be moved over time in a process called keyframing. We have to do this process again and again for each dollar bill, and by the time we're finished, we've drawn 21,000 bills. We then add a light and a camera within the computer. Then we add some special effects, such as color blending, dust particles,
and a motion blur to make it look more lifelike. We chose to do this because it's an interesting way to tell some facts. When we shot the film, it was shot in native color, but we wanted it to be very dramatic, to be very, very strong.
Color correction kind of seems like a simple thing, but whenever you're doing a film, color can change everything.
You'll notice there's a lot of scenes that if you compare them to the original, their saturation is really boosted.
The color that we went with was like a teal and orange look.
You have high contrast, really strong blacks.
It took hours and hours and hours to do the color correcting for each individual shot, but we feel like in the end it really paid off.
Of course, the film is in this critical stage of production, but I'm with my family and I get a phone call from Lakin, and he goes,
Jared, Adam, Jameson, poverty's gone. And everyone's jaws just completely dropped. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is my section that I've been working on for months, and all of a sudden it's just gone.
I'm frustrated. This is ridiculous right now.
I mean, that's what making movies is all about.
I love it though. It's all part of the thrill.
And all we could do is get together and say, hey, we don't know what we're doing.
we didn't know what was going to happen because an entire month's worth of work was gone, and we didn't have a whole lot of time until the premiere. And then we circled up and we just prayed.
Plugged it straight into my computer, and all my footage came back. Everything was there.
And the whole process was such a reliance on faith that prayer became a huge component of our culture in the office. Friends were constantly stopping in. We had this sheet on the wall that said like Friends of Refuge, and people who came in would sign their name on it.
And and then this right here is our where Refuge friends come in if they brought something to us or if they stop by and say hey.
But what kept me really going was the kids that I saw in every time that we were cutting the film, just their faces, and you want to make their story known so that other people can hear about them and it can also help them out.
One day, I remember we got snowed in. We looked out the window, and there was like 3 inches of ice covering the road. We were all like,
oh yeah, we're like playing out in the snow. We're playing soccer in the snow. We have snowball fights, and trying to edit while you're doing this is not very productive. And then we realized we're not going to be able to leave.
We all had to stay in the office.
So we drive around, we get all of our stuff, our sleeping bags, our clothes, our food.
Live on ramen noodles.
So right now we are trekking our way through the frozen wasteland that was once Jefferson City, Tennessee. I mean, you can't even see, it's just wide out.
And our entire team and several of our friends, we all pack into the office and we are snowed in. And so we edit the film all night. So it was a really fun experience. It was one of those things that built camaraderie among our team and just made us stronger.
What are you hoping to get out of this?
I'm just hoping everything works, honestly. Because the story, the content, that's out of our control and out of our hands at this point. The only thing we can do is hope and pray it all works and people are able to respond in the way that they feel led to. This is the part I'm nervous about, the ending. That's perfect. There it is.
My favorite moment in the office was the night before the premiere. Me and Jared and Lakin, we stayed up until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to finalize the film so that we could show it the next day for our school. But we all three slept there for about what felt like 2 hours. And then we all went to our classes the next day. And then
it was so exciting to know that we had worked so long on this, and the time's coming, guys.
When we finally premiered the first version of the film at Carson-Newman, I think we were all kind of jittery. We were excited to see how it was going to come out.
We actually had so many people, we had to show the film in 2 theaters, and the only 2 theaters that are on campus at the same time, which was something that had to be coordinated in about 6 hours. To know that this was a project that was bigger than us.
And it was so cool to see the entire student body essentially just all come together and kind of celebrate what was being portrayed.
In the end, Everything worked out.
The film required so much sacrifice from a number of people, not only the editors, but from our families and from our friends, from the people most important to us, and it required a ton of faith. But in the end, it came together, and it was completely an act of God that even happened, and it was only because of the support that we found completely surrounded us. You seeing this movie is great, and you knowing these stories is great. What are you going to do about it?
Find the joy in the darkest of places. Absorb it, reflect it, and multiply it.
Seeing this movie, it's only the first step. It's not the end result. So that's really our hope, is that people come out of seeing this movie with some ideas and with a desire to do something.